So this is how they line up on the grid for race one. Josh Kirk on pole position, number 66 in the LKQ Euro car parts with Cinetic Toyota Corolla on the front row with him. Number 20, Colin Turkington, fifth in the championship, sixth and fifth in the championship on the front row. Colin for Team BMW, number 20 on the outside of row one. And on row two, Mikey Doble, number 88, with his best qualifying of the year so far in his second season of the championship. He's second in the independence drivers standings and third in the overall championship. Ash Sutton, number one, starting in fourth place. Row three, number 80, Tom Ingram, championship leader, and number 40, Aaron Taylor-Smith, independence championship leader. Row four, Jake Hill, number 24, he starts in the seventh spot in the BMW, and he's second in the championship, just 3 points behind the driver that's directly in front of him on the grid, Tom Ingram. And alongside Jake's BMW, another BMW, Adam Morgan, number 33. They are seventh and eighth on the grid. Row five, Dan Camish, fourth in the championship, number 27. And Tom Chilton, 2 times a winner here at Donington Park. He's in car 3, the Hyundai. Row 6, number 12, Rob Huff, and 77, Sam Osborne. Row 7, 18, Daryl DeLeon, and 222, Chris Smiley. Row 8, 32, Dan Rowbottom, and 45, making his Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship debut, Dan Zelos. Row 9, 22, Nick Halstead, and 16, Aidan Moffat, who got his first ever touring car win here at Donington Park in 2017. And then on row 10, number 11, Andrew Watson, and number 29, the 19-year-old rookie, Scott Sumpton, who picked up his first independence win at Knock Hill last time out in race 3. The front few rows are just lined up on the grid. We're waiting for the last couple of cars to make their way onto their grid spots, at which point the green flag will be waved at the back of the grid. That's the signal to the start line gantry that we can get the start procedure underway. These 2-litre turbocharged engines will roar into life. They'll stand on the brakes, use the button to hold the power down on the brakes, and then put their foot onto the clutch, find the biting point, and then try and launch the cars. You'll hear them bouncing off the rev limiter. It's the optimum revs to get the cars off the line, and they'll launch the cars into turn one at Redgate Corner. There's the sound of the 20 British touring cars revving up to go racing, and the red lights go out, and we're underway here at Donington Park, and Colin Turkington makes a traditionally good start. He's got his nose in front, he's on the outside, but now he squeezes over to the inside, and he's got the lead of the race away from Josh Cook on the way into Redgate Corner. Cook in second place, and Ash Sutton is there in third. He's got ahead of Mikey Doble. On the outside is the other Vauxhall, trying to hang on to sixth place, but he's got Tom Ingram absolutely with him. Ingram trying to fend him off. Ingram will hold on to fifth place, the championship leader. So a great start for Turkington, a great start for Sutton as well. They both gained a place. Everybody safely down through the Craner curves for the first time in the race. Jake Hill has held station in seventh in the BMW. Morgan in eighth, Camish in ninth. Huff has gained a place. He's in 10th place in the Toyota. Josh Kirk gets a little tap from Ash Sutton just behind. 2 great friends, 2 former teammates, and whenever those two get together, there are always fireworks on track. Aidan Moffat, though, Josh Cook's teammate, has had a trip through the gravel trap coming out of McLean, so he's dropped to the back of the field. And they make their way now out of Coppice down the back straight with second and third together and fourth and fifth together, because Tom Ingram is trying to get past Mikey Doble and the Hyundai. He's trying to go around the outside of him. Is he going to do it? It's going to be brave if he does. He doesn't make the corner. He has to take to the gravel, 4 wheels through the gravel, Tom Ingram, to avoid the tyre stack. And he'll probably have to give the place back, I think. Or will he? Will he? Oh, he stays on the inside for now. He'll argue that he wasn't given room. He had nowhere to go. And for now, he's there in fourth place. So he has got ahead of the Vauxhall. Tom Ingram in fourth, behind Sutton, behind Cook, behind the race leader Turkington, and now you've got Aaron Taylor-Smith having a look at the inside of Mikey Doble to try and get past his teammate. Oh, there's contact further back, and that's Tom Ingram sent out wide, and he runs way wide, deep onto the grass. He drops down the order. Doble, who made the contact with him, drops down the order as well, and they're both down into the middle of the pack. So disaster for Tom Ingram, as we got Jake Hill pouncing on the other Vauxhall down the inside at Redgate Corner, and that puts him up to fourth place. He steered his way beautifully through all of that drama in the Laser Tools BMW to go from 7th up to 4th place. But over the line, Tom Ingram was down to 12th position as a result of all of that after that contact. And Mikey Doble, even further down the order, back in 15th place in the number 88 Vauxhall. So on the end of lap one, it's Turkington, Cook and Sutton the top three. And go look at a replay. And yeah, it was Mikey Doble just sort of having to defend from his own teammate. He just seemed to break a bit deeper than he wanted to into the corner. He was on the inside. On the outside, ahead of him already was Ingram. There was contact, and Ingram on the outside got a proper thud on the left rear corner and was sent into a half spin. He caught it. He went on the grass. He lost, crucially, all of his momentum coming out of the corner. Doble went on the grass as well, and everybody just charged past them as they got a better exit from Goddard's. So Tom Ingram now with work to do. I think the car will be okay, but he's got to go on a charge, and he's at the moment behind Chris Smiley, or is he? Because he looks down the inside on the way into the hairpin. This is Ingram on a charge then. 7 times a race winner in touring cars at this circuit at Donington Park. He loves the place. He always goes well here, and he's just sent a lovely move up the inside of Smiley on the way into the hairpin at Melbourne. So he's got 1 place back. Meanwhile, Cook and Sutton, second and third, go over the line, about a length between them. There's a big gap back then to the BMW of Jake Hill. And you've got Chris Smiley about to lose another place here, potentially, as he goes over the start-finish line to Aidan Moffat, who's recovering up the order. And he dives down the inside. They're still side-by-side together. Actually, it's Watson that's having the battle with Smiley. So the two Northern Irish drivers together as they go through into Hollywood Corner. Both of them in the points at the moment with the top 15 scoring. And then you've got Tom Chilton just about fending off Mikey Doble. He's behind that battle as well. So Tom in the number 3 car, holding on at the moment to the last championship point in 15th place for Team Bristol Street Motors, with Mikey Doble desperately trying to get back in the points to get something out of it after qualifying in a brilliant 3rd place. So really frustrating for him. Remember, he qualified on pole position at Silverstone last year. That all went wrong, where he took an extra green flag lap and ended up actually starting right at the back of the field. So his 2 best qualifying performances in BTCC so far have not gone well. And you can replay on the big screens of a lurid moment from one of the Napa Racing UK Ford Focuses taking to the grass. It was Sam Osborne, as the gap from second to third looks like it's come down a little bit on the second half of that lap. So Cook certainly staying with Sutton. Further back, Tom Ingram is getting stuck in again down at the Melbourne hairpin in the number 80 Hyundai. Lights ablaze. He's now split 2 of the Napa Fords. He's got ahead of Osborne. His next target is Dan Camish. Dan Camish in turn is trying to look at the inside of Adam Morgan's BMW as they go into the left-hander at Goddard's. They come out, they go over the start-finish line. Morgan remaining ahead at the moment. So great scraps going on in the middle of the pack. Dan Zelos update, he's running in 14th place. He's up into the points, and it's because Tom Chilton has dropped back 3 places, and we got one of the Nappers going through the gravel trap at Redgate Corner. Slowly, it's Dan Rowbottom slowly trying to make his way back onto the track, which he does. But Robo's pretty good start to the race has all gone wrong now. He got himself up to 7th position, but he's now tumbled way down the field, and we've got a safety car because we've lost Andrew Watson from the race as well, and that car is going to have to be recovered.
Saw him off in the gravel. Yeah, there he is.
And with massive damage to the front right. He's okay. He's out of the car, which is good news, but there's massive damage to the front right suspension. So that car is not going to go anywhere without being helped out of the gravel.
Front left puncture for Daniel Rowbottom as well.
Right, so it was possibly that's what sent him in the gravel then, isn't it? That gravel trap run. And it's down at the S's that there was contact midfield. That's what delayed Tom Chilton. He's just out of sight of the commentary box behind the grandstand. Get on the tiptoes, just see the telehandler heading towards Andrew Watson's car. But that was a big tight squeeze, and he actually thudded into the tyre stack. So he was already kind of out of control at that point. Went up, right up on 2 wheels as he went over the tyre stack, took the tyre stack with him, and big damage to the Toyota of Andrew Watson. Big damage, as you say, to the front left tyre of Dan Rowbottom as well, which is quite possibly what understeered him off into the gravel trap after a brilliant start to the race where he got himself from all the way up from 15th place to 7th position, but now he's limping back to the pits. And a very frustrating start to the day, very frustrating weekend so far for Dan Rowbottom. So the safety car will pick up Colin Turkington down at Redgate Corner. Ash Sutton in second, Josh Cook third, and then Jake Hill fourth, Aaron Taylor-Smith fifth, Rob Huff going well up to 6th place, having started 11th on the grid. And then up to 7th will come Adam Morgan, up to 8th place will come Dan Camish. Tom Ingram will have recovered to 9th, and we'll have everybody lined up right in front of him now, thanks to the safety car. So watch for him as we get back underway. And then up to 10th place, Sam Osborne. 11th is Aidan Moffat, 12th Chris Smiley, 13th, and in the points on his debut is Dan Zelos, 14th Mikey Doble, back in the points, and 15th, along for a point, is the 19-year-old former Radical Sports Car champion, Daryl De Leon, in his first season in the championship with the Duckham's racing car run by Unlimited Racing, new team to British touring cars this year. Right, quite a bit of bodywork damage from that flailing front left tyre on Dan Rowbottom's car now as well, as the Napa Ford limps down the pit lane and pulls up in front of his garage to get the car checked out. I think getting back out they will, and they'll then just hope that there's loads of laps behind the safety car so he can get back onto the queue. But it's going to not be the work of a moment to get that wheel off because of all the bodywork that's now disintegrated around it. They've done that. They're getting the new Goodyear Eagle tyre on, and the gaffer tape is going on as well to try and keep the car in one piece as much as they can.
Attention to detail. They have big lumps of blue and yellow gaffer tape standing by.
Yeah, just so it looks good still.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Real shame for Dan. He'd done well, hadn't he, at the start of that race to get as high up the order as he had. Getting a replay of, what's this, of him, of his bodywork just completely disintegrating from the ITV pictures, from that flapping, flailing rubber of the Goodyear tyre, which had received its puncture. So he just leaves the pit lane now as the leaders behind the safety car, with its lights still on, are going into the Melbourne hairpin. So he's 3/4 of a lap down. He's got to try and catch them up and get back onto the back of the pack. But he is still on the lead lap, and it does look like it's going to be at least a couple of laps behind the safety car, because Andrew Watson's car is not going to be, it's not with the work of a moment lifting that up, because it's properly buried in the gravel trap. It's collapsed on the front right where the wheel has, the suspension has gone on the car, and they've also got to make sure that tyre stack has been sorted out as well. So it should be that Dan Rowbottom will catch back up to the pack, and then he's just going to go like the clappers and try and get as high up the order as he can to get as good a grid as he can for race 2. But yeah, it's the tyre stack which took a proper thud from Andrew Watson's car, which is now being squeezed or raised back into position by the very busy telehandler crew. There's also an awful lot of gravel which has been dispersed onto the circuit at the S's.
It's like the beach.
Yeah, it's like Brighton Beach down there.
Brighton Beach, yeah.
Once they've got the tyre stack in place, they might have to get the brushes on the track as well.
They
Marshals.
definitely will, yeah.
Because they're going to be like marbles, aren't they? Going to be super slippery. So Colin Turkington leading the way, and he had a rough couple of weekends at Alton Park and at Croft, despite getting a race win in race 1 at Croft. He's 15th at that circuit, more wins than Colin Turkington at that place nobody has ever had. But then it was a good weekend for him at Knockhill. He scored good points, got another race win, and is starting to drag himself back into the championship fight. And if he wins this one as well, then it'll be right back in there. He's had 8 wins at Donington Park and 16 podiums around here, and 21 years of racing in the British Touring Car Championship. Colin's first win at this track was in 2006, would you believe, all those years ago. But he had to wait 9 years until 2015 for his second win. So there's a big gap between wins 1 and 2, but then he's got plenty more since and has had 8 wins around here. And the only one that can come close to matching him of the current crop of drivers around this place is Tom Ingram, who's had 7 wins at Donington Park. But he's back in 9th place after that thud that he got, that contact with Mikey Doble. So I'll be very frustrated by that. But the safety car has given him an opportunity to get back up the order. He'd already gained some places back anyway. And what was he down to? 12th or 13th, wasn't he, I think, at one point. He's back to 9th, and he's back on the queue. Safety car light's still on, so it's going to be at least 1 more lap behind the safety car. Good news for Dan Rowbottom, who's herring after them to try and catch up. Getting a replay of Rowbottom coming through Redgate Corner. That picture, that smoke from the tyre does suggest the tyre had started to go down anyway. That's why he went in the gravel trap. It wasn't because he went into the gravel trap he got the puncture. It was the puncture that sent him in. Yeah, it does, doesn't he?
It really does.
Dan is onto the back of the queue, though. So Nick Halstead will be his first target. So 19 cars remain. Dan Rowbottom has caught up to the queue and will just absolutely go for it now, I suspect, on the restart. Dan making his debut in the British Touring Car Championship in 2019. He raced with Sicily Motorsport, Russell and Adam Morgan's team. Raced in the Mercedes that year, but didn't have a great season, really. He then took a sabbatical in 2020, the COVID year, because he needed his sponsors and main sponsor Cataclean to get the real benefits of a British touring car season. So took a year out in 2020, second year in 2021, and his third year in 2022 he raced with Team Dynamics in the Honda and finished ninth in the British Touring Car Championship in 2021. Got his first win at Alton Park, but he was the Jack Sears Trophy winner that year. The Jack Sears Trophy, which is given out these days to the drivers that fight for a separate championship, and they're all the drivers that haven't been on the podium prior to the start of the season. So he's a former Jack Sears Trophy winner. Andrew Watson won it last year. Mikey Doble, who was Andrew's teammate last year, is winning it this year. Of course, he has now finished on the podium, but as long as you weren't on the podium before the season started, you still get to take part in the Jack Sears Trophy, named after the first ever British touring car champion, a two-time touring car champion. In the end, Jack Sears. So the cars now, I think, have got the message, possibly, that the safety car is coming in. Are the lights out? Yes, the lights are out. We're going to get back underway because they've started weaving. There's still a fair bit of gravel on that run through the S's, you know, so that's going to be a bit sketchy when they get there for the restart. It will be extended up to a 17-lap race now. I said we can get laps back if you lose into a safety car, up to 3 additional laps. So it becomes a 17-lap race now, so gives us plenty of action still. We've got 7 laps to go once they get back around, and the safety car, driven by Scott Stringfellow, is about to come round Goddard's, peel into the pit lane as into Goddard's, and picking up the pace now is the driver 5th in the championship and leading the way, Colin Turkington. So Colin about to get the race back up to full speed. The BMW leads the charge then over the start-finish line. Ash Sutton in second, into Ford third from pole position. Josh Cook having dropped behind Ash Sutton before the safety car came out with what drama was going on. So Josh Cook down to third position, 4th place for Jake Hill, 5th place for Aaron Taylor-Smith, and up to 6th, going great guns, is Rob Huff. But I'd say the one to watch out for, or 2 of the ones to watch out for, are Ingram and Rowbottom, trying to make their way respectively up the order from 9th and, for Rowbottom's case, from 19th position. So as it stands, Jake Hill is going to move from 3 points down to 3 points up in the championship battle. He'll go on to 288 points, 285 for Ingram and 275 for Ash Sutton. There'll only be 13 points between all 3 of them. But that's if it stays like this, and Tom Ingram might have something to say about that. From 9th place, he's not going to be wanting to finish in 9th. He'll try and charge through the order, and his next target, which is still behind, is Dan Camish. He hasn't made up any places yet on this restart lap, but he's got certainly a good run coming out of Coppice Corner and gets very close to the tail of the number 27 Napa Racing car, driven by the former Formula Ford and 3-time Porsche Carrera Cup champion. That was a Vauxhall of Doble, I think, getting very much out of shape and clipping the tyre stack. No, it was Taylor-Smith, sorry, his teammate, who just got a bit of a tank slapper on coming out of the turn and has lost 3 places because he just clipped the tyre barrier. I wonder if that was the marbles on the circuit, that gravel that we had from the Andrew Watson incident, and it caught Aaron Taylor-Smith out. So he's dropped now behind Morgan and Ingram and Camish. Ingram got past Camish as well, so he should be up to 7th place now, Tom Ingram, when he comes back across the start-finish line, and he is. So his next target, Adam Morgan in 6th position. Taylor-Smith losing 4 places as a result of that slide through the S's, where he almost properly clattered into the tyre stack. I mean, he did hit it. It sent him out wide on the exit. He lost all his momentum, and he lost all of those places on the run down to the hairpin at Melbourne. So Turkington leads. Sutton is second by 0.8 of a second. 3rd is Cook, 4th is Hill, 5th is Huff, 6th Morgan, back up to 7th Ingram, and then 8th Camish, down to 9th Taylor-Smith, and Osborne rounding out the top 10. Rowbottom has got a couple of places back. He's up to 17th now in the number 32 Napa Racing car as the race leaders make their way up the hill. And is that Huff ahead of Hill over in the distance? Let's have a look. No, it isn't. It's, sorry, Huff defending from Morgan. So they're coming through at Coppice Corner at the moment, heading down then towards the S's. Turkington pushing on. Fastest first sector in that lap has just gone to Morgan. Fastest second sector, the middle sector of the lap, going to Jake Hill, which is why he's creeping up to the tail of Josh Cook now. Then you've got Huff fending off Morgan, and both being caught by Tom Ingram on the way down into the hairpin. So Ingram closes up again under braking in the number 80 Hyundai. And every place he can get, more points available. At the moment, he's on course in 7th place for 9 points. If he can get up into 6th place, he'll get 10 points. And And through he comes, and the one to watch here is Jake Hill. And Jake Hill is, I think, used all of his hybrid up, hasn't he? Yes, he's got no laps of hybrid, hence the red flashing light in the windscreen. He only had a couple of laps available anyway, but Jake Hill's got no more hybrid laps available to him. There are 3 laps each for Turkington and Sutton, and Cook has got 4 laps of hybrid available. So if he's going to do it, Jake Hill's going to have to do it without the assistance of that extra 60 brake horsepower. He's used all of his hybrid up. Has Tom Ingram used his up? The answer to that question is no. He's kept a lap, so Tom has still got his one and only lap of hybrid available to him. He's still working hard to get onto the tail of Adam Morgan as they climb up through Swans Curve, and on the way into the right-hander, he gets a look at the inside on the way through McLean's. He's drawn a level with Morgan. They're going to be side by side on the way up into the right-hander at Coppice, but Ingram's got the inside line, and Ingram goes through and gains the place. So Tom Ingram up now into the top 6 and on a charge. Next target, Rob Huff in 5th position. You've got Dan Camish just behind, fairly close as well, the driver 4th in the championship. So Ingram and the blue and white team Bristol Street Motors Hyundai with another good move there, on a mission, on a charge, back up into 6th place. So that's another championship point clawed back, and he's not yet done. He's very, very good on the brakes on the way down into the Melbourne hairpin. Colin Turkington, meanwhile, is starting to stretch his legs now from Sutton. Cook in 3rd, has got Hill in 4th, dropping back from him, and then it's Huff in 5th, and then Ingram 6th, Morgan 7th, Camish 8th, Taylor Smith 9th, Osborne 10th, and then you've also got in the points Moffat, Smiley, Zelos, Doble and De Leon currently in the points. Dan Rowbottom at the moment still back in 17th place, or is he? No, he's just gone around the outside of Tom Chilton as he goes over the start-finish line, so that's another place gained back for him. He's up to 16th place, one more position, and Dan Rowbottom will at least get a championship point out of this. But really, it's just about getting as high up the order as he can to get a better grid for race 2. So as it stands, with that point claimed back, it's going to be dead level on points between Ingram and Hill, and he's still pushing on hard on the ITV pictures, still watching this scrap between Dan Rowbottom and Tom Chilton. But currently, Jake Hill in 4th place. He's on course for 13 points, and in 6th place, 10 points come in the way of Tom Ingram, which put them dead level on points. But Jake would be the championship leader because on count back, he's got more race wins. And Ash Sutton catching them both up a little bit. He's got 17 points at the moment if he stays in 2nd place, and that will move him to within 13 points of the championship lead, the co-championship leaders. So that's as it stands, but Tom Ingram is starting to eat into the advantage of Rob Huff and closes up again under braking on the way downhill into the Melbourne hairpin. All the way it goes over the front wheels of the cars here into that corner with the light back end, thanks to that downhill descent under braking into the right-hand hairpin. Then you climb up a little bit into Goddard's, the left-hander. Jake Hill, despite having no more hybrid available, is still working hard to stay with and actually close up a little bit to Josh Cook. So 3rd and 4th, that gap coming down. We've got 6 laps to go in the race, this newly extended 17-lap race. And then you've got Rob Huff now full of his mirrors, is that Hyundai of the man that is charging through the order, Tom Ingram. He's charging through the gravel trap though on the way out of Hollywood, a bit too wide on the exit, kicks up the dust, loses a bit of traction, loses a bit of time to Rob Huff, but he'll make it all back up again under braking on the way into Hollywood. Dan Camish, meanwhile, he's starting to try and close up on Adam Morgan. He's running it in 8th place on course for 8 championship points, which would keep him, in fact, would drop him possibly down behind Colin Turkington. He's on for 22 points now because he's led a lap, bonus point, and he's got the fastest lap of the race as well, Colin. So Colin on for 22 points, and yes, that would move Colin, I reckon, by 2 points ahead of Dan Camish and up now into 4th place in the championship if it all stays like this. Right, he's pushing on. Say if it stays like this, because he's still got Ash Sutton to deal with. And then Josh Cook gets wide, clips the grass, clips the barrier, I think, coming through the S's, and loses the place to Jake Hill. So Jake in the BMW comes through into 3rd place now, and that will move him into the championship lead outright. And Josh Cook just got a bit ragged on the way through the S's, clipped the barrier, and at the same time, Ash Sutton has really come onto the back of Colin Turkington now as well. He's got 3 laps hybrid available, whereas there's only 1 lap available for Turkington, and we've got 5 laps to go in the race. So Turkington leads, but he's coming under pressure now from Ash Sutton, who's only had 1 race win this year. 3rd is Hill, 4th now is Cook after that slip up down through the chicane. And then we've got Rob Huff fending off the Hyundai of the championship leader coming into the day and into the race, Tom Ingram. But he might be second in the championship when all is said and done, because that move from Jake Hill puts him up to 3rd place. And 3rd place gets you 2 more points. He's on for 15 now rather than 13. So by 2 points, Jake Hill would move back into the championship lead. And he will definitely take that, given he was feeling not well at all yesterday. Ash Sutton in 2nd place. Can he move himself ahead of Colin Turkington? It's 3 more points if you can do that. And if you can lead a lap, 4 more points, because you get the bonus point as well. And that every single point, with being so tight between the top 3, it's going to be absolutely worthwhile doing. Now, Tom Ingram, I think, has found a way past Rob Huff, and Rob Huff is coming under fire from Adam Morgan. They're going to go side by side on the way into the S's, so that changes the complexity of it again. Wait for them to come through, but it looks like he's through. He is through, and he's left them behind, and Morgan's gone through at the S's as well. So 2 places lost on this lap for Rob Huff, and that now puts Tom Ingram up into 5th place. Rob Huff diving back down the inside of Adam Morgan on the way into the hairpin. Brave move that from the former World Touring Car Champion in only his 2nd full season of British Touring Cars. Morgan is coming back at him. He's on the outside line, though, for the run into Goddard's, but Rob Huff is never ever going to give this position up. He's on the inside in the Toyota. That bright yellow wing mirrors on the car. He's still got his nose in front, but now he's going to be on the outside line as they head down towards the right-hander at Redgate Corner, and Morgan is going to get him back here. What a fantastic battle this is for 6th position. Morgan slings the BMW down the inside. Rob Huff still doesn't want to give the position up. He closes the door just in time to stop Dan Camish coming through in the Ford as well, but eventually Morgan through and into 6th place. And all of that, of course, allowing the driver of the very rapid Hyundai, Tom Ingram, to fall further and further away from them. So up to 5th place now for him. That's another championship point. That means he's only going to be 1 behind Jake Hill. Fastest lap of the race, a bonus point, still belongs to Colin Turkington at the head of the field. And Colin has just edged back away a little bit. He was 0.7, nearly 0.8 of a second clear at the end of the previous lap. He's coming down towards the S's now, still with Sutton in pursuit. Hill in 3rd is about 3.5 seconds down, and Cook in 4th hasn't given up on a podium as yet. Right. Out of hybrid now for Colin Turkington, hence the red light in the window. But there's hybrid still available to Ash Sutton, who closes up under braking in the Ford and now gets halfway alongside the race leader coming out of the turn. 2 4-time British Touring Car champions having a big fight here in the closing laps of the race. There are 3 laps to go at the end of this one. They're coming into Goddard's. They come out of Goddard's. The BMW still ahead. Ash Sutton has still, though, got a lap available of hybrid to him. Now, I think he's used it up, though, on that lap. Yes, he did. He used it, the last one up on that lap. So it's a straight fight now. They're both out of hybrid. It is just driver versus driver, BMW versus Ford. And look at Josh Cook coming back at Jake Hill as well. So he is pushing on. He's still got 1 lap of hybrid available. So Hill hasn't. Cook has got 1 lap of hybrid and another 60 brake horsepower that he can employ for 15 seconds on one of the remaining race laps. And do not count Josh Cook out of getting back on the podium just yet. Ingram in 5th place, about 2.7 seconds behind them. He's just done his personal best lap of the race, but it's not the fastest lap of the race, so he won't get the bonus point there. But it's going to be a single point as it stands between Hill and Ingram for the championship lead. But who's going to win the race, Turkington or Sutton? Turkington with his nose in front at the moment. Sutton coming down into that roller coaster section over the back straight, down in towards the S's. They go left, they go right, and clipping the curbs, getting as close as they can to the tyre stacks. Turkington having a better lap on this lap, though, and Sutton just dropping back away from him. Then you've got Hill actually pulling back away from Cook, so it's been a better lap that from the BMWs. Ingram's out of hybrid as well. He only had 1 lap available anyway, so he's there in 5th place. Morgan in 6th, Huff in 7th, Camish in 8th, Taylor Smith in 9th, and then in 10th place, having a really good run, is Sam Osborne. So Sam Osborne doing a good job here. He had a pretty competitive weekend at Knock Hill as well. And Sam's best result of the year so far is a 9th place finish at Snetterton. So it's going to be his 2nd best finish of the season. 2 laps to go in the race then. Turkington out of Redgate. Sutton follows him into Redgate corner now. In 3rd goes Hill. And then Cook. And then smoking the tyres in 5th place is Tom Ingram. Frustrating race, but he's salvaged something from it, having dropped down to the middle of the pack at one stage. Mikey Doble hasn't really been able to get back up the order. He's in 14th place currently. And his teammate Aaron Taylor-Smith is on course for a 15th Independence Class win, even though he's back in 9th position at the moment. And Osborne is on course to be the highest placed Jack Sears trophy driver in this race, doing an excellent job in 10th place. So, lap and a half to go. Colin Turkington looking more and more like he's got life under control here, and on course for what would be a 9th win at this circuit in the British Touring Car Championship, and that would move him ahead of John Cleland. He and John Cleland have got 8 wins apiece, so he'd be 3rd in the outright number of wins at this track in touring cars, behind Andy Rouse and Gordon Shedden, and he's looking more and more likely to do it. He pulls away on this lap as well from Ash Sutton. Hill is looking pretty solid in 3rd place now as well from Cook. Cook did come back at him for a lap or so, but he's dropped back away again now. So Colin Turkington in his 559th race start, looking for his 72nd win in the championship, comes out of Goddard's and moves over the grid hatchings and starts the final lap of the race, and his advantage is grown to about 1.4 seconds, so well clear now. Then Hill coming through next, followed by Cook, followed by Ingram, followed by Morgan, Huff, Camish, Taylor-Smith and Osborne. Osborne on the hybrid. Closest battle is between Dan Zelos and Chris Smiley, and Dan Zelos doing an excellent job here in 12th place and on course to finish the race and get points. And it's been a really difficult weekend for him so far because he's new to the team, he's completely new to the car, and he didn't have any dry running really until this race, because they had a wet free practice 1, they had a damp, drying, greasy free practice 2. It was a dry line in qualifying, but it was still wet offline. So it's the first time, really, in this race that Dan Zelos has been able to drive that car in anger on a dry track. And he's done a superb job, hasn't he, running in the points ahead of race winners like Chris Smiley. And Dan Rowbottom is up back into the points now. He's got ahead of Mikey Doble on that lap. So Rowbottom back up to 14th place after his visit to the pits and that puncture. But coming out of the S's for the final time in this race, Colin Turkington in the BMW, further and further clear of Ash Sutton. He heads into the right-hander at the Melbourne hairpin for the final time, negotiates that as smoothly as he always does. He never looks like he's got that car out of shape, does he? So rapid, deceivingly rapid, the way he drives that car. And the 4-time champion about to move up to 4th place in the championship standings. The checkered flag awaits. Colin Turkington sees the checkered flag and wins for the 72nd time in his career. The BMW crosses the line first. Ash Sutton in 2nd place. Jake Hill picks up the championship lead by a point, coming home to complete the podium in 3rd, with Josh Cook 4th from pole position, Tom Ingram 5th, Adam Morgan 6th, Rob Huff 7th, Dan Camish 8th, and then Taylor-Smith and Osborne 9th and 10th, Moffat in 11th, Zelos in an excellent 12th, Smiley 13th, Rowbottom 14th, and Doble with 1 point to his credit after starting 3rd on the grid. That big contact that he had with Tom Ingram, which will be a real talking point in the race. It almost completely ruined the race for Tom Ingram. It did ruin his chances of a podium, but he did recover back up to where he started, back up to 5th position. So that was something, but it was helped out by A, great driving from Tom, and B, the fact that the safety car bunched them up as well, which made his life a bit easier than it might otherwise have been. So 20 points for the win, a point for fastest lap and a point for leading a lap. Maximum score of 22 points coming the way of Colin Turkington with, as I say, his 72nd career victory in the championship. And that's also going to be his 189th podium in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. What a record he has got, and do not count him out of the championship fight yet. 22 points for him puts him, I reckon, on 246 points, 2 points now ahead of Dan Camish, and 43 points behind the new championship leader, Jake Hill.